Hey guys, welcome back. It's Kate with Case Regretless Life. All right, let's go ahead and jump on into this. We shall see where our storyline takes us and what the symbols are. We start with Femio. So we may have somebody who is quite in the public eye, or we could have somebody that has done great things in their life. This could be a divine masculine. We do have an Eight of Cups. The thing is, we have him uh, I'm not going to say disgruntled, but something doesn't feel like it's satisfying anymore. His heart, he's actually pulled out his heart and is kind of like saying, my heart's not in this anymore. There's something about whatever he's done for a very long time that's just not satisfying anymore, even if it is what he is known for, his claim to fame, his super talent. The wild unknown, the mayor of air, and the mayor of water, all sideways. This feels like he's debating, what else he could do, who else he could be. In another life, would I do something different? Would I be a different person? Would I pursue a different career path or a different hobby? Or would I go for something other than what I have done? I think he has a secret wish of who else he could have been in this lifetime. Here's the great thing. We have a good long life, and we can absolutely change what we do in our lifetime to take on a different, career path or different persona. We absolutely have the opportunity to do things like that, to change whatever we wish. Ace of Air. So he may be writing a letter of resignation. He may be about to make a pretty big change, walk away from what he used to do. This could be him signing a new contract, terminating an old contract. This could be him writing out a resume in order to send it for something else that he'd like to do instead of what he's been doing. I don't know. This feels like he would like to pursue a completely different avenue of life. And I believe he really will have opportunity to do that. Gemini is sideways. This is somebody who has not just got a dual talents, but possibly, quadruple talents, just because we have the twins of the Gemini, but we also have it sideways. He has literally multiple lifetimes that he could live within this one lifetime. He has multiple different avenues that he could pursue. It's not just, do I want to be a King of Cups or a King of Swords? Do I want to work in this industry or that industry? He actually has more doors open to him. And as of yet, something still untapped. I feel like his soul is hungry. This is a divine masculine who is hungry to pursue some pathway that he's never allowed himself to even entertain, but he can't continue to do what he's been doing. Okay, we have the Mayoress of Fire. That is a Queen of Wands. We have the Moon card, Luna, and we have the Ten of Swords. Okay, so this obviously looks like he's got this kind of secret wish. He either wishes he could connect to a Queen of Wands, but this is somebody that I don't know why he thinks it would be impossible. Or maybe he thinks he would have to walk away from the status that he currently has in order to have this life with her, this passion with her. She could live in an environment that is very different than what he's been used to. If he wants to make a really big change, he's been thinking about this for a while. He's been thinking about departing from a life in the public eye, and he's not thinking about just translating one skill set for something else. He's thinking about a whole life overhaul, and she's at the center of it. The desire to be with her. It almost feels like she is somebody who lives like I don't know, maybe she lives on a little island someplace, and he's like, God, I wonder if I could just slip away and live in her world. He seems to be tired of the fame, or tired of being in the public eye, or tired of, having these obligations, or having his life be laid out the way it is. He'd like to do something different. And I believe he's talented enough to make his life whatever he wants it to be. but she is of great importance to him. By the way, some symbols of the day could be, and I don't really see very many jumping out to me. I only point them out if I see them. But somebody who's reading something's written in cursive, that's, we don't tend to see a lot of cursive handwriting anymore. That's why it would be unusual. So it's seeing somebody's, handwriting and they actually don't print, they write still in cursive. That could be a symbol of the day. Also, the checkerboard pattern on a flooring. This feels very decidedly like, almost like English drawing room or billiards room or something, something quite chic or quite stylish if it's modern, but it's a throwback to, something very retro, very beautiful. He may be wearing like a coat or sports coat in his, in this time frame as well. And we may have an El Greco painting that is also a specific notation for the day. Okay, let's take a closer look just at her now. So why is it that she represents a big change in his life? Four of Pentacles. He would have to, if he steps away from what he currently does, he'd have to watch his money more carefully if he were going to be with her, simply because he would not be having the income that he used to have. I almost feel like this is somebody who's ready to, quit being what they have been and live a more like quiet life, a more one-on-one life, be ready for a relationship where they're with their partner instead of like gone and, having to be involved with the public and everything. We have the full moon and we have actress sideways. Here's the thing, as much as he wants this, he knows that it would change his life. He'd have to, hang on to his money a little bit better. And he doesn't really know, would she want this life with me? Would she want me if I weren't famous? Would she be interested in me? I think he believes that she would, but he's not 100% sure. What if she could be quite famous in her own right, considering that's an actress sideways. He may know something about her, like both of them could be talented, or they both are in the public eye in some capacity. But there's a part of him where he's like, I don't know if she would want me if I didn't do what I'm known as. But I think he knows better than that. Ten of Pentacles. There is already an energy to her where she's all about family. And this is one of the reasons he's contemplating, God, you know how great it would be to be in like a smaller, more sincere grouping where he could like be connected to just like a couple of people instead of having to be in the public eye. Let me go back to him as that Famiel card. What is your life like? Ace of Cups, Three of Wands sideways. It's interesting because on one hand, he's loved what his life has brought him, but he's outgrown something. He wants love, like a one-on-one personal love story now, more than the love of audiences or the love of, people showering him with attention. He's looking at a different future for himself. He can't quite see this being the life that he goes on and on and on with. He'd like to change something about the life that he is currently living, even though it's not as if he hasn't enjoyed what he's created. And I think he's created a persona for himself. I think he's created a lot, but he just can't fathom this being what his future looks like, stretching on and on and on in this same vein. He's imagining wanting it to be different, wishing for it to be different. Yeah, Nine of Aaron, we have this little gravesite coffin dealio going on here. He doesn't want to, he equally doesn't want to make the wrong change, but he also does not want this as it is to be his forever future with no hope of a transformation. I think he's over being possibly in the public eye. He wants a more quiet one-on-one life, a more family-oriented life. I feel like this is possibly a divine masculine who basically wants to be home now. Maybe he doesn't want to keep going out into the world to make his name. He's already done that. Now, even if I wonder if he's worked really, really, really hard to get where he is also. And he's like, at this age in my life, or this point in my life, what I'd love to have is true companionship and something that feels like home instead of fame. I'd like to be famous in just my lover's eyes. I'd like them to like me better than a bunch of strangers, And that is not to insult, if he had many, many fans or something, if he was famous in some capacity, that is not an insult to anyone. It's just that, there's a time in his life now where he would rather maybe be more quiet, have more one-on-one connections. So with that in mind, tell me just a little bit about her. Courier of water. So I feel like either there is correspondence or will be correspondence. This is, letters being sent, emotional letters. How do you feel about him, feminine? You come across as somebody he thinks is very attractive with the Mayoress of Fire. That's the Queen of Wands. 7 of Swords. When I say how do you feel about him, there's this thing about this clock, and this is a card of lies. It's interesting because it's almost like she's been telling herself, I don't think anything's ever going to happen with us, even though she would like there to be something, but she's thinking, I'm telling myself this fantasy. He's not watching me. He's not hunting for me. This is ridiculous for me to even consider what if he and I ever had an opportunity, or what if he came toward me. She's telling herself this is like a freaking movie, and I've just painted myself in as the lead character, which is just ridiculous because I know he's not thinking of me. She's really seeing nothing but blockages. He's famous, he's somebody else, I'm nobody, blah, blah, blah. I've been lying to myself, wondering if at some point in time this might be possible, but there's just no way. I'm sure that this would be like a movie, and that's not going to happen to little old me. Why do you come across as an actress, a Queen of Wands? Because you're coming across as somebody very attractive in his mind. We have the Hermit sideways. Honestly, I think that this is possibly a feminine who does not see herself in the light that he sees her in. She may not think of herself as, usually we consider actresses and actors as people that are somewhat famous. She doesn't see herself as that. This is the Hermit card. Now it's sideways, so she's not a total recluse, but she's also not somebody that's, by the way, she could be a hermit, or a Virgo rather, but she's not someone who sees herself as the leading starring role in any film. She perhaps interacts with people and has no clue how she comes across to others, is what this would say. She's not out seeking fame for herself. In fact, she kind of at least 50% of the time, she's totally silent and solo. So if she has, look, they both seem to have public personas, right? Actress and Femio both say that they have public personas. But I would argue, no matter what career path we're in, we all have a public persona, right? We go to work. It doesn't matter if we're, working as a barista at a coffee shop or not. We're still going to bring our more professional version of us to work. That's just kind of how it goes. And so her professional version of herself is, if she does do something like act, or something where she too is in the public eye, because it's not an untrue version of herself. It's just a different polished version of herself, but she doesn't view it as oh, that's how people think of me. They don't see me this way, because she sees her own self as somebody who's I'm mildly sociable, but I'm also quite an introvert. So it's interesting that she does not see herself the same way, which is also why she's unable to even conceive of the idea that he would be wanting me. This is so ridiculous that I even fathom this, because of course he couldn't be thinking about little old me. I'm not, he's a star. He's somebody famous. I'm nobody. I would disagree. I think she might really be somebody, but she's the last to know. We have the Moon card. I definitely feel like there are things that are hidden in plain sight. Um, Certainly, we've got two versions of Anubis standing there facing each other. There's something about like weighing the actions of our lives and then answering the question like, who am I? Well, what have I done? What actions have I taken? What kinds of, what reputation have I built for myself based off of my actions? Neither one of them fully understands what kind of impact they have. This is such a great reminder that everybody is somebody. Every person on earth plays a role. We're all divine creatures, and although I think it's very relatable that everybody kind of thinks that they're just, I don't know, I'm just a person and I'm not really sure that I'm all that special. In fact, everybody is very special, and the impacts that we all have on each other can be massive whether or not we ever acknowledge it. Now, of course, you get those outliers, those people who think that they're the most special person that ever walked the earth, but average, normal, I'm going to say normal people that are not full of ego are probably not strutting their stuff going, you know how amazing I am, you know what changes I'm making in this world, you know how, everything centers around me. Like, obviously, that is not who these two characters are. They don't believe that the world centers around them. Even he, who has made his way in this world and become quite famous, and he knows that, but he wants a quieter life. He is not somebody who's obsessed with fame. In fact, he'd rather surrender that if it meant he could have a quieter life and a family home kind of scenario. Meanwhile, she doesn't even understand how he sees her, because she doesn't see herself as somebody famous. She's just very, very down to earth. But it's interesting. I almost think neither one of them fully recognizes that they have played very big roles, in the world and in society. Four of Wands in the reverse, the New Deal sideways, which is like Judgment card. I definitely think that what's hidden here is that neither one of them has quite, no matter what heights of fame they've reached, neither one of them has ever quite found a perfect balance. So they've never quite been satisfied and said, oh man, I'm at the top of my game, this is the best time of my life. Because I think they've always both been in a place where they either didn't fully see themselves as they were in the mirror, or they've always still kind of been pining for something a little bit different. Look, this could be the story of what happens when two people that are a little bit introverted, become good at something that they do, rise to a place of prominence, become an expert in their field, become highly sought after, and other people are wowed by them. But to them, they just kind of had to keep learning and trying to work really hard to achieve something, but they don't see their life or their achievements as like they're anything special. And so neither one of them has ever got to the point where they're like resting on their laurels saying, look at, I'm amazing, see everything I've done. In fact, neither one of them has quite had the comfort zone that they've wanted. I almost think that both of them, I think they need each other. I mean, if I'm going to put it simply, I think that these two want companionship and partnership and family, perhaps more than almost anything. 8 of Air. Yeah, I'm going to say that the thing that has been prohibiting or stopping them from having full happiness is, once in a while characters find themselves in career paths, and then that career path kind of takes over and it snowballs, and pretty soon it's like, okay, well, I guess this is the trajectory I'm on, but then it changes their ability to just go out and live like a normal person, or go out and meet people and fall in love. But there is this person that he's fallen for, or that he would like to try having a relationship with. But in order to do that, that's why I don't think she's famous, even though we see that actress card. I feel like she must be in some different category of career path or something for him to be like, if I step away from fame so that I can have a family with somebody like her, I wonder, would she want me if I wasn't famous? And can I make these big changes in my life? Up until now, I think they had to be on the trajectory of fame and, like growth and finances, but that also prohibited them from having the kind of love story that they wanted. And at this point, they want the love story. I think she wants a love story too. And I think that it's kind of Oh my God. We have the Pisces energy, and we've got this mermaid under sea. This is somebody who swims in emotions. She certainly could be a Pisces, or he could be. But it's mostly that I see this dreamscape and this romance and this passion and this desire for this very soft, very loving, and almost elusive dream of what a love story could be, because I don't think either one of them has had the love story. I hope that they get it together. I hope that the two of them are able to, find a way to come together. He may be on the cusp of writing to her with that Ace of Swords. This may be him penning a letter to her. We never quite figured out what his penning a letter was. So he may be about to write to her. But he knows if he does this and pursues something with her, ultimately it would mean what he's aiming for is to step away from fame and to step into a Ten of Pentacles kind of love story. I hope that he does send the letter. All right, I'm going to leave this here. Thank you so much for being here, guys. If you did not already know this, you can take a look at the playlist tab, and you will find any of the zodiacs you might be looking for. I do all 13 zodiacs, so I do include ophiuchus. Also, the other way you can find my content is just to go to the live tab and click on that, because most of my content I upload, or rather I should say I live stream. All right, thanks again for being here. Bye.